any of the partakings of a big cannabis event, I do urge that you find one that's close in the area, or if you're in the LA area, I think the next one is going to be down in LA. Experience it. It is something that you definitely need to do, and we definitely recommend it for you. So we definitely will be going to some of those places coming up. I did film some of the events that were around. So I want to give a shout out to a few folks out there. CMB, give them a shout out again for always taking care of business and doing what they need to do. And then we have also Spunky Skunk Extracts. I want to give them a shout out. They are really some wonderful folks that took care of your boy. Made sure that I tried out some of their products, and I had some of their treats that they have, and excellent taste, no hard cannabis residue taste or the oiliness in the cannabis side. So that was definitely real good for us to experience that. And then I got my T-shirt. So I don't know if you can see it. I'm not on Facebook yet. So, but if you can see it on Instagram and also YouTube, this is the Spunky Skunk. So I'm wearing one of the shirts that they gave me, and I appreciate that shirt. So I will be wearing more of it. Remember, if you have a brand that you're trying to get out, and you know how it is. If you right there and you got your paperwork together, we definitely want to let everybody know about you. So make sure that you just get in contact with us at Cannabuzz Radio. On Instagram is the best way to do that. Just DM me on Instagram, and then that way we can get you involved with what we're doing here. Again, we're talking cannabis. A lot of folks are doing their traveling, and there's positive ways to travel with cannabis. And then just know that you have some laws out there that will kind of come back and bite you if you do not know how to travel. So I'll try to, on the break, pull up that article and make sure that you have that information about traveling with cannabis, because I think there'll be a few folks doing that. And, that's the second situation that you're going to have to deal with. The first situation is traffic. So if you're taking off any place for the holidays, just make sure you drive safe and get there early. I also want to bring about a conversation that comes up a lot, and that is medical cannabis and the Second Amendment. Can patients own guns? Imagine having access to the press but not being allowed to freely speak your mind. Practice your choice of religion, but giving up your right giving up your right to unlawful searches and seizures of your religious artifacts. Of course, all of these hypothetical questions would be quite common to many people if they agree, is a violation of their rights, as an American. So again, no one wants to give up their rights in exchange for another. So the dilemma, sad to say, is cannabis consumers are facing then a fact that if they apply for their medical cannabis card, there's going to be some repercussions with their rights to bear arms. In fact, some of the people aren't aware that when they get their medical card, they're also giving up their right to bear arms. Confused? Well, it's a question for everyone out there. Do you think that cannabis doesn't cause people to use? Do you think that cannabis does or doesn't cause people to use firearms in the right way. So that is a question that's posed out there. You can put the answer up if you want to. You can go ahead and put that answer up with us on either Instagram or Facebook. I'm getting ready to come on to Facebook right now. But that's a real big question that a few people have asked me about. And, it's hard to give you the proper answer is it's illegal. So it doesn't make any difference how much we kind of talk about it and ease it down. It is something that is questionable. Again, if you haven't been charged with any crime, if you are not a criminal, and the only thing that you did is obtain your medical marijuana card, again, medical marijuana card, not just a recreational, that becomes something that just really, it irks everybody. So again, hey, what's going on? We got Jovan Davis in the house. That's right. If you know about that, that's man, he's got some of that music for you. Okay, so again, glad to see Jovan here. What's up, HD? HD is one of our dancers and performers out in the Cali way. So glad to see you right here with Cannabuzz. I gotta also let everybody know. What's up there, Ray? Glad to see you here. Big RW is in the house again. So I gotta let everybody know, if I do not see you on Facebook or Instagram, we have a lot going on with the server and my one computer that's handling a big load as far as streaming. So I do apologize. There were some folks that said I did not answer them back. So I definitely want to do that. Shalom to you, Jovan. And as I said before, there needs to be more information put out about guns and the use of cannabis. These aren't facts. Maybe they are. I think that they need to be revealed. Again, that law that's put out has been on the books ever since the cannabis cards have been issued. That was one of the stipulations when it came down to issuing out cannabis cards. That was it, and I didn't understand it. But again, you have our folks that are out there protecting us that felt that possibly that would be a threat, and again, the early stages of cannabis and the way that it was put out there, the growers had to protect themselves, and I'm quite sure that they had firearms, and these were exotics. Should all of us be held accountable for that? I say you have to do what you have to do. It's illegal. Again, I will state that. What do you do if you've already had firearms? So those are some of the questions we need to be asking ourselves throughout the next few months. Ken McCoy, how you doing out there? I'm glad that Ken is here and checking us out right here on the Cannabuzz 420 Talk Show. And we are talking cannabis here right now. Love to talk to anybody about that. So remember, if you have any questions to what's going on and what I'm talking about, again, we're talking about the Second Amendment, gun laws. Can cannabis patients own guns? And right now, again, the way that the laws are written, do you think that law needs to be rewritten? They just signed into law more aggressive background checks. So now this is just my personal opinion. I'm saying, like with myself, it ain't nothing to brag about, but it is something that I just thank God I haven't had any type of criminal background situations that I'd have to deal with. But in the same token, I feel that I should have the right to bear arms as a U.S. American citizen, and I don't think that cannabis should hold me back from that. Say if someone was on opiates, I don't see them saying, well, if you use opiates, you need to have your Second Amendment rights and your First Amendment rights and all of those rights taken from you. once you take one right, you kind of like it can snowball into other things. So again, we are advocating. I have been a part of the NRA before, so I think that again we should have the rights to bear arms if you do a thorough background check. Again, I have no problem with doing it, but for the citizens that are out here that haven't broken any laws and do have firearms, what about them? So again, you can give us your opinion. You can let it be known right here on Cannabuzz Talk. That's right, Cannabuzz Radio Talk. And let me give you the number. The number is 559-353-2999. I know everybody's getting used to this part, trying to see if anyone's going to call first. And we've been going a few times, so we are going to call. Look, we've had 3 shows now, and 3 or 4. Wow. That's right. We did do it. That's right. We did our one Thursday show, so that was wonderful. I doubt if we're going to do that on the 4th of July. I'm looking at the engineer, and he's looking at me like, I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't think that's going to happen for us. But he said that. I don't know. He said no one's really going to be here, huh? Man, that might be a 4th of July, Cannabuzz 4th of July. Let me know if you'd like to have Cannabuzz Radio on 4th of July. I will make the sacrifice. I will be down here. Oh, mess around. We can do that now. We start that pit. Yeah, the first one we had the pit going. I showed up. The pit was here. There's a whole bunch of great food here. And I felt it was a welcoming party. So thank you again. Thank you again. I really appreciate that. What is up? What's up, Kevin? Kev Nut, how you doing? Man, Kevin, there's a few loyal folks that are always here, and we really appreciate you checking out again Cannabuzz Radio, the 420 Talk Show right here on KOFP 103.3 The Voice. I also got to give a shout out to DJ Van Glorious. I did not download that mix yet, but we will come with that mix. I don't know if I'll be able to do that this show, but we have some 420 DJs that are going to start DJing with us and are just giving us their mix so we can put it on the air for you. And I also have some 420 artists out there, just like K Stu and Savage Ratchet. Now you try to figure out the name, what it means, and but it's done in. Is that Savage Ratchet? Yeah, it's Savage Ratchet, but it's Savage Ratchet. So again, that has nothing to do with cannabis unless you're smoking it and trying to figure out the name, So yeah, that is one of. Yeah, that's still, again.
He's a real connoisseur. He's of the upper echelon.
That's it. That means that it could get ugly, but it's gonna be kind of nice and pleasantly ugly, So there's a lot going on with the cannabis community all over the globe, folks, all over the globe. Now, watch this, okay? Will there ever be international medical cannabis reciprocity? And only Jamal would know this. I said reciprocity. What does it mean? But they give the meaning. So basically, patients can purchase and consume their medicine in other approved jurisdictions. So what do you think about that? What do you think? Do you think that there needs to be reciprocity internationally? I mean, I want to be able to go anywhere and smoke my bud.
Yeah, but watch this though.
Okay.
What happens if your doctor says, your doctor at home says, oh yeah, medical, this would be good for you. and then now you've traveled abroad, and you need to refill your prescription.
That's right. I need to refill my prescription. I've traveled abroad.
But your prescription now says that you need to see a doctor and you're now abroad.
Nah, I ain't gonna have my prescription say that. I'm gonna find me a doctor. But you're right. There are gonna be some doctors.
Your prescription expires, and sometimes they're not allowed to refill it unless you see the doctor.
In the cannabis world, you refill as much as needed because you're going into a dispensary when you run out. So there is no. The only limit is how much you have.
This is for medical marijuana.
But this is for medical marijuana, so it's not issued out like pills. It's issued out like you go to the dispensary, and how much cash do you have? So if I got $300, guess what I can get?
So that's not really medical. Then.
See, that's the reason why he's here, folks.
That's not really medical.
Because I got somebody that's smart, and he's going to chop this up. And so again, in the terminology that's used in the medical field, you're right. It wouldn't be considered as a medicine. It would be considered as over-the-counter wellness, herbal, holistic, herbal daily regimen.
Okay,
That's what it is.
So then at that point, the original question that you posed is moot. You don't need international reciprocity. Just you got your money, go buy some weed.
Well, here's the problem, though.
It's that
What is it? Let's see. What country? Let me just think of a country that really is like anti-bud right now. I don't think it's all the way legal in like New Zealand.
It's not all,
I mean not New Zealand. What's the other one?
it's not
Australia.
in Amsterdam.
No, it's not legal in Amsterdam anymore.
They still have those shops.
They have coffee shops, and you can't just smoke it out in the street like they used to. You remember, like, it got pretty bad out there. It got a little raunchy, and they were like, "Look, we're getting the reputation for being raunchy." With everybody wanted to go to Amsterdam. That was big. I really wanted to go to Amsterdam until I went to a couple of places in California and said, "You know what? That's way over there. I could buy more bud and just stay over here." Yeah. So
at that point, though, I mean, the question that you pose, you don't need international reciprocity at that point. Just go buy it off the street from the street dealer.
I don't know. Let's see. Hey, what's up there, Rachel? Let's see what you're saying. You saying something here. What did you say? I think you should be able to smoke pot anywhere you want to, except for where you can't smoke cigarettes. That's what Rachel said.
Yeah, but see, I just don't.
See,
look who we got coming.
Oh my God! Do we got somebody dragging in?
Oh yeah.
Who's that?
The man himself.
The man himself.
The man himself.
Dun 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 dun. Oh, he pulled off the glasses. It's serious
It's
business.
serious business.
I think it's serious business today.
Did he take him?
Yeah,
He pulled
Richard,
him off, too,
he
huh?
pulled them off. He said, "I'm in here now. Don't think I wasn't showing up." We have Richard in the house. That's right. How you doing, Rich?
Good, how you doing?
Man, great. We're on the air
But
right
no,
here.
see, but I'm just a firm believer. I don't believe you should be able to smoke cigarettes on Earth. So
Oh, Richard, we got some questions for you. Oh boy.
what do you got? Rapid fire.
Okay, I shouldn't have hit that because it probably made a whole bunch of noise. I'm sorry about that, folks. I'm sorry about knocking. I was just real serious about this. Look, Richard, we want to know this question. So first off, the question of the Second Amendment. I just got through going over the Second Amendment. Can patients own guns? And I told them no.
No, actually, the Ninth Circuit has ruled that if you have a cannabis card, that you cannot legally obtain a firearm, despite the Second Amendment giving you the right to carry.
That's crazy. That's a little crazy.
So that's a further erosion of the Constitution.
That's a further erosion of the Constitution.
So,
Yeah.
So at this point, our Constitution is written on toilet paper. Flush it down the toilet.
So see, so you see the
because
cannabis is.
I mean, it depends on your outlook on
The
things.
highest law of the land says I can do this.
Yes.
And the Constitution is the highest law of the land.
Correct.
Says I can do this. But because we have these group of individuals in place who says, okay, forget what that says,
Mhm.
you can't do this.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean it's certainly more nuanced than that, and part of it goes back to the federal prohibition of cannabis.
So,
Is that since people don't understand it, the so again, this is a federal court that made this rule.
I gotta get myself a mic and get in.
You
there.
sure need to get. Come on, man. Come on in here. That's
So
right.
the way the federal court interprets the Constitution and the Second Amendment is that, and with the prohibition, is that cannabis can lead to serious mental health conditions such as schizophrenia, um, uh, paranoia, anxiety, and allowing people who use cannabis, such as medical cannabis card holders, to have possession of a firearm poses a serious threat to the health and safety of other citizens and residents of the country.
Yeah. Oh, I know you're going to be here, Jamal. He's going to come and chime in on this. But I still say, there are folks like myself that don't have any criminal record that have owned firearms and just been good citizens.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I don't necessarily agree with the ruling.
Correct.
But I also don't sit on the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, so I'm not in a position to change that. Eventually, that's going to go away.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask.
As we move forward through this thing, and again, it went back a couple weeks ago, the last time I was on here. As time goes on, and the naysayers of cannabis begin to understand that it's not this bad thing that we've all been led to believe over the past 80 years, then restrictions are going to loosen up, and I imagine it's not going to present an issue for a cannabis user to lawfully obtain a handgun.
So let me get this straight. And let me first start off by saying it's like a 2-to-1 split here on this panel.
That's right.
2 people for, 1 person against. I am the dissenting opinion.
Dissenting opinion right there.
And I'm using legal terms because
you got somebody
I'm
legal
trying
right here.
not
I'm
to
not
use
the
legal
legal guy.
terms.
I am the dissenting opinion here. But I wholeheartedly disagree with them eroding your constitutional right to bear arms simply because you smoke marijuana.
Right,
There hasn't been one case ever proven of a person high on marijuana who decided they wanted to go crazy and go on a rampage and start killing people.
You know what they'll go on rampage and kill? A bag of Cheetos, a whole bunch of pizza.
Yeah,
it's gone.
So I wholeheartedly disagree with that, for the simple fact that you can say that all these medical benefits that marijuana has, right? Because that's what they're saying. Oh,
right.
Yeah, medically it does this, it does that, but no, you can't own a gun. This is gonna point to the conspiracy theorists in me, but believe me, there's no conspiracy theory there. I just think that's a furthering of the government wanting to take weapons out of the people's hands.
right. So,
And I know that's kind of like
but I mean, everything goes back to the foundation, and the foundation is that federal prohibition by
we've already
initially,
eroded.
but people can still own guns. You can
the foundation has already been eroded.
the majority of the populace can lawfully own a firearm.
Correct.
So that you can't say that they're trying to take away rights. The problem is that because there have been no scientific studies on this stuff since it initially became illegal in 1937, that the powers that be don't understand how it works and they are afraid of it.
Correct. And
Although there's nothing to be wrong, and you mentioned that people saying that has medical purpose for X, Y, and Z, but at the same time, they're afraid that it's going to cause mental health problems. Well, it doesn't cause mental health problems.
Well, how can you say that it's helping medically
Well, I'm
You
not
mean
saying
turn-
that.
no, no,
States
I-
are
I-
saying
no.
that. States are saying that. So
No,
there's
I'm
a
saying-
dichotomy. You know, the federal government
I'm saying
is supreme, reigns supreme over the states.
I'm saying they, not necessarily to you.
Yeah.
What I'm saying they to is the powers that be.
Right.
Right. And so
how can you say it helps medically, but then turn around and say, well, it might cause mental problems?
Well, I mean, there's certainly a high level of hypocrisy with it because, on the one hand, the federal government, by listing cannabis as a Schedule I drug, has said that there is absolutely no medical benefit
Right.
or no medical use. But on the other hand, the federal government owns the patent for medical use of the cannabis plant.
That's the oxymoron.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So there exists, like, everything is baked into it, and again, at its crux, at the very beginning of this thing, it was racially motivated. Okay, unequivocal, very explicit, or at the very least, very thinly guised racism was the motivation behind creating or making cannabis illegal. As time has gone on, more and more people have begun using it.
Would you really say it was racism? Or
Absolutely.
Or more
Read-
Oh, it was.
no,
it
it
was.
or
Yeah,
more-
you have to
or
read
more
some of the.
capitalism.
No, it had nothing to do with capitalism.
Nah.
Because before 1937, marijuana was illegal. You can go back and find old bottles, medicine bottles, from the 19th century of salves and tinctures that people used to make. You could go to the store and buy it.
So you had the folks that were in high society that smoked hashish from the areas where the original hashish were from. They did all of that, but here's what you had. They used to come down to the speakeasies in like the Bronx and in New York to go and smoke and hang out with the black jazz artists and the musicians that were there, singers, and so that's the way the culture was. It was more like we smoke it, but we smoke it down here in the lower areas, and it's not an upper area drug. It's just
And
like
it was,
cocaine.
so I mean, it was believed, and there's obviously more to it than this, but
Oh, for sure.
a good part of the motivation behind it was that Henry A. Slinger, who was an overt racist and the first drug czar of the United States, the guy who convinced FDR to let him implement the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937, thereby making cannabis illegal, was afraid, and the people who supported him were afraid that by having nice, wholesome white women using cannabis and going down to jazz clubs where there would be race mixing. And it's as terrible as it sounds and as unfathomable as it sounds that our government would just very overtly create a racist law. That's what they've done, and it's perpetuated for the past 82 years.
And everybody's been swept under that. You know,
And it's gone beyond
Yeah,
the
yeah,
race
it's-
at this point.
yeah, it's way
Because,
back.
I mean, there's studies that show that minorities and whites smoke cannabis or use cannabis at the same levels.
Yeah, so it's a.
But there's a disproportionate amount of people of color in prison for cannabis and other nonviolent drug offense related crimes versus people of white race.
And so
It's just the racist beginnings of this prohibition have kind of spiraled and snowballed and gone beyond what they initially started off as.
So you think the Tax Act on marijuana is based in race?
You can read it for yourself and see that it was based in race.
Okay, but also I also take something else away from that, because when you talk about tax, that directly speaks to capital.
Yes, making money. But that's just what it's called.
Right,
It had
right.
nothing to do with raising taxes.
no.
Well, no, but they, see,
It wasn't even.
It's almost like they also used it because you
They
had the
couldn't
paper. You had textiles that were involved in this. So again,
I mean,
it's
you-
not
okay, you
again.
had
You,
textiles that-
like,
Yeah, but
like
you go
said,
back to the
it's-
founding of our country, and George Washington grew hemp.
right.
he extolled the virtues of hemp and told everyone that they should plant it if they want to
What about World War?
succeed.
What about World War
They
II?
planted World War II. There's places in the Midwest you can go. I've been in rural Iowa. My dad's ex-wife, her family lived in Iowa. We went to go visit an aunt who lived out in the middle of nowhere, and we're driving around. We stopped the car, taking pictures with wild hemp plants because they dropped hemp they needed to make rope to support the war for the cause. You can't smoke it. It's
Yeah, it's
they
not
call
going
it,
to
they
get
call
you
it
high.
ditchweed. That's
Yeah,
what it's called.
yeah.
But it's there. I mean, all over the country. So it's, and I hate to just pin it solely on racism, but I really truly feel that
At
that's
the
where
core.
that was at its core.
That was the
That
core,
was-
not the
that was the
not-
motivation behind
We
prohibition.
know, I will agree with this. We do know that racism plays a big part in this country.
Oh, it does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's things, that happen in this country that we
But
know
it's-
were directly designed to the detriment of people of color.
Right, and then what happens is you have that effect, and then you got what would be called the good Samaritan of everyone here. I go to church. I do. So I'm a good person. That person over there, because they're inhaling, they're bad. So good versus bad. So now you have, and it's easy to set that up, because you have again. My biggest thing is when I found out about the textiles and the clothing and the fuel and all this stuff, I go, well, that's where that leads to the part that you're saying, which is the capitalistic side of why cannabis has never grown to be
Right,
what
but
it really
what
is.
would happen
But that's
is-
part of that is because they made it illegal to have the plant. You
Right,
could get,
because
for
they
even
made it
having,
illegal.
Having the plant,
Okay, so all these, so if they hadn't put this in place, all these big businesses, that big oil,
It wouldn't be big oil.
they're coming.
It wouldn't be.
no,
It
big
wouldn't,
pharma, big tobacco, all of these people would be out of business, per se.
that's what you would think. But it's already gone to the point where so many people, I mean, as much support as there is behind cannabis legalization nationwide, still almost half of the country doesn't support legalizing it.
right.
And that's a mindset that's been
But
indoctrinated in them
That's because
for generations.
They put out that documentaries like Reefer Madness. And
Oh yeah, and they
that's
run it,
still-
and,
and
and it's
that's
brought
like
up.
that.
It's still
that
brought up
came
right now.
around the same time that I was telling you about the Marijuana Tax Act. There was just this whole mindset with these. Jesus, I hate to use race as a background for it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what it was, and there's no way around it. And the only way to rectify it is to figure out how to legalize this thing
So-
and to allow these social equity programs in order to kind of you can't rewrite history, but right some of the wrongs that have been done over the past 82 years.
And I want to segue into a couple of spots there because, again, there was Japal White was supposed to join us, and I know he wants to join us because they just had a expungement clinic Saturday at the Red Church. So that was a real big thing. There was a lot of folks that attended. I want to give a shout out. Let's see, we got Big Shake Jr. He's joining us right now. We got LaSalle. I want to give a shout out to you, and again, Michelle, appreciate your input right there for the international thought. Again, folks are being expunged. I think it's a good thing because again, I have a friend, an Asian friend, that had gotten locked up. Never had any criminal situations. He basically was a cannabis distributor, and kept his business tightened up, but to save his family, to save a lot of his face and his family from having heartache, he went ahead and did his bid. Now, does he need his record expunged? Yes. This man was a businessman. He didn't rob, steal. It wasn't any. The only thing he did was sold cannabis. That's it. Never wanted to sell anything else. He knew all about the plant, grew the plant.
When he did it?
Well, I would say it was on the verge of being legal.
No. Let's not hide behind words.
I'm not gonna hide behind. It was
Was it-
ill.
was
I
it
know
illegal
people
when he
always
did
tell
it?
me that. They always go, you're kind of skating around. Okay, it was illegal, then, Mal.
Okay,
It
so
was
he broke,
illegal.
So he broke the law.
He broke the law. and he got some time. He served his time. But okay,
And
so
how much was he distributed? Like was he like a nickel and dime guy on the corner, or was he?
it wasn't quite nickel and diamond. It was of weight.
Okay,
I would
and
say.
so
I would say that he was a businessman. I would say that he handled his business. Everything was done in a business manner. It wasn't. How can I say it wasn't on?
How was it done in a business manner? Like, what licenses did he have? Did he have
Well,
a seller's permit?
Well, just put
Well,
it
there
like
wasn't
this.
one at that point. So-
There
so
was.
what-
This
what
was
do you mean
pre.
he did it?
This
But I
was
mean,
pre 215. So
Right.
this is like a few years before pre 215. So there was some things
gray
going
area?
on. There was a lot of gray area, and then it kind of came into focus, and then it got blurry again. Like right now, it's still kind of foggy.
And it's probably going to continue to be that way for
Yeah.
another couple of years. And I mean, because at the end of the day, the state can legalize all that it wants, but at the same time, you have the cloud of the federal prohibition that hangs over you, and the fact that that federal laws reign supreme. That's the law of the land.
Right.
So until something happens federally, there's always going to be some sort of risk involved
Right.
in trying to enter and operate in this business space.
Let me ask you this. What do you think, in your professional opinion, the timetable looks like for a federal record?
Oh man, if I knew the answer to that, then I'd be a billionaire.
You would seriously, because everybody would be like, okay.
Honestly, no one knows, right? So at the beginning of the current presidential administration, there was speculation that President Trump would kind of urge.
Actually, here at KOFP, we just refer to him as 45.
Okay. Oh, Cheeto Jesus, I've heard that one too.
No. We don't go, disrespectful with it. We just
45. Okay, so yes, so there was speculation that before 45 was elected president, that he would be in favor of legalization.
Right.
But as time has gone on, and his record would demonstrate, he is.
Well, I think there's bigger issues at play here.
There's always going to be bigger.
Always.
Issues. I personally
But
don't
this
feel that
is-
this thing should be an issue.
Right. I don't think so either. I think it's being
So,
made into.
I mean, to answer
an
your
issue.
question, federal legalization could happen as early as 2020,
2022.
and then when 45 is done, and we get 46. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
whoever that is,
I see that they are.
unless it's Joe Biden, because
So-
Joe Biden
so-
is not pro cannabis. He wants
Oh,
he wants to reschedule to Schedule 2, so that way a doctor can actually prescribe you
Right,
cannabis,
cannabis.
and that way we can conduct some studies. But I think if you look at all the states that have done it, we now have the District of Columbia
Correct.
and 11 states or 10 states that allow for recreational adult use cannabis. You look at Colorado, you look at Washington, you look at California.
What does the crime look like in Colorado and Oregon and Washington?
Crime has
Minimalized.
gone down. So
Minimalized.
you can look at and then so
But no.
pretty much everything that we've been led to believe would happen when people start using cannabis regularly, or a larger percentage of the population uses cannabis, it has not come to fruition. Right? So the whole thing is, we can't have a dispensary in my neighborhood. My neighborhood's nice. We can't put it in the bad part of town. But wherever they put dispensaries,
Why would
So
you-
I have I'll do that now. I have
Why
a.
would crime go down when it's still the same amount of people? It's not like, oh, weed's recreational now.
you can
we
have-
use it because
Right,
they
but-
were always using it. So why would crime go down?
right?
that
Because
doesn't seem-
if it's legal, then cops aren't just randomly rolling up on people.
That's the reason why,
walking
because
through
you
the
can't.
neighborhood, because the way
So now,
so the
now they're not getting other little small petty crimes.
Right.
right,
Well, they.
yeah. If I'm walking down the street right now, we're right off of Clinton. If
Yes.
I walk down Clinton right now, and I had there was a dispensary next door, and I went and purchased 3.5 grams of cannabis, an eighth. I could walk down the street, and a cop could stop me, ask me what I'm doing, and then I'd make up something because I don't want to tell him what I'm doing. At this
Right.
point, he gets reasonable suspicion to detain me, okay?
Right.
Because thinks he has a reasonable suspicion to believe that I am in the process of committing a crime or that I am imminently going to commit a crime.
Correct.
Okay, so at that point, he can go through my pockets and search my person. When I have that cannabis in my pocket because I'm over 21 and I live in California, there's no fine, there's no ticket, there's no ride, let's go downtown, go hang out on M Street, see what's going on. There's
Right.
none of that.
So before it
Because
was.
before, yes. And in states where they don't have the protections that we have here in California, then that still happens.
Oh,
to people.
I heard about the like they told me about a few states that I was like, I am not.
Right.
Well, you
Well-
won't see me in Alabama. You won't see me in a few states like that. And there's, and that's because their one seed law, one seed. I think even in Texas, it was like, now Texas really actually has loosened up. I want
A little bit. Texas is still nowhere near what we got over here. So don't.
Right.
Yeah. And again, do not travel across state lines with cannabis. Just
So
for
I
anyone
think
out there
I think
listening.
I was telling everyone about the holiday travels and to
That-
be
that is
very,
a-
very careful.
that is a federal crime. Okay, so even if you're going from a state where cannabis is legal to another state where cannabis is legal, for instance, from California to Nevada, California
Right.
to Oregon, it's crossing state lines with cannabis on your person is a federal crime. And
Okay.
if for whatever reason, if you get stopped, then you could be charged with a federal crime. I don't know that they're going to do it because realistically,
Yeah, it takes a
cares?
lot. You have to be processed, and I want to get to this answer from Javon. Javon said it's opiates that's causing people to flip out, taking aspirins, Tylenol, and let's see what else, well. There's a lot of
Oxys, Percocets,
all of those things. And so, like Javon is saying, there are different over the counters and prescribed medications that actually have induced people like Ambien. The gentleman, I forgot, there was a whole bunch of stories about Ambien. And I was like, really? I'm glad I don't take Ambien. Yeah, people
Right,
were sleeping. They were actually asleep, but they were up.
yeah.
But
so
totally
I
asleep.
mean, the way our bodies react to different chemicals, it varies for every person, right?
Correct.
Like, I know people that can take a bottle of Tylenol and nothing happens, and I know
Correct.
somebody who can take one Tylenol.
Like me.
and
I can't even take one Tylenol.
and they're knocked out cold. So I mean, the important thing is we can't necessarily control everything else that the government wants to do. I mean, as much as you want to, the whole process of the United States government was to make the right decision, and in doing so, the right decision is intentionally a slow decision. So there's certain things that we should do, and there's actually in federal court right now a former NFL player, Marvin Jones.
Oh, okay. I remember Marvin.
Used to play linebacker for the New York Jets. He's one of the named plaintiffs in a suit against the federal government right now, as far as trying to force their hand with rescheduling cannabis. Because when the Controlled Substances Act was initially implemented, the purpose of it was to ensure that people were not going to be getting access to dangerous drugs. So they didn't know what to do with cannabis. It was supposed to be a Schedule 2, there was back and forth, and then they just,
Right.
well, we'll put it in Schedule 1, and we'll revisit this at some point later. Well, every director or secretary of the Food and Drug Administration and the DEA have refused to revisit rescheduling cannabis.
Wow.
And so it's Marvin Washington, not Marvin Jones.
Oh, okay.
So the Marvin Washington lawsuit essentially is trying to force the government's hand and saying, look, you don't have to legalize this stuff today, but what you need to do is take a serious look at it and figure out if it's in the right spot.
Right, and I think Republican Senator Mitch McConnell, who is a stiff right winger and a not a real advocate for cannabis, but somehow he's getting his arm put behind his back and pushed more towards a federal, how can I say it, a rescheduling of cannabis. So the words are out now. They might just be kind of
actually it's Congress doesn't reschedule it.
right.
So,
they don't reschedule. So what are
Yeah.
what are they doing when they're talking about the talks and all of that? What are they doing? Are they saying that?
Well, so basically, remember the checks and balances of our government, right?
Okay.
So cannabis as a controlled substance under the Controlled Substances Act, which was written by Congress, but it's essentially regulated by the DEA. Okay?
DEA.
Yeah. So
Oh, those guys.
yeah, those guys. So basically, what has to happen is that whoever is in charge needs to initiate a study on the reschedule. But like I said, they've balked at every opportunity they've had to do that since 1970 when the Controlled Substances Act was first written into law. So, what? I mean,
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna
whole.
let you read this. Trey wrote this.
What do we got?
He said, "Hey, buddy boy, I don't know if I have a lawyer in here. I don't know how incorrect."
What did he say? Sorry, buddy, but not one thing you said here is correct, other than her being innocent. Sorry.
All right, thank you, Trey Tosh, for the wonderful comments. Yeah, so long story short, things are going to change.
Yes.
I do have some semi good news. The city of Fresno is going to release its final ordinances
Nice.
sometime this month. I'm not sure exactly when.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so we expect there's going to be some comment period following
Okay.
for the.
So comment period. Can you break that down for us, Rich?
Yeah, so pretty much any time that a government, whether state, federal, local, is going to release some new laws, we have a right to go and provide comment as as a citizen, a constituent of that jurisdiction. So, I mean, it depends on what it is that you want out of it. If you think that the ordinances are too restrictive, you can go and put your 2 cents in and say this is what I think. You can draft or have someone pay someone to draft for you a comment to submit into the official record.
Right.
And I suspect that not too long, I would imagine within a month of those ordinances being shown or being made public, that there's going to be a application period for licensing that's going to open up. I don't know how long all
Right.
of that's going to take.
I heard it was going to be the licenses will open up and they will actually be issued by January 1. But
That's always the plan. But
that's
I don't know how
always
this
the
stuff is
plan.
gonna
It
work.
could happen sooner, folks, and it could happen a little later. I have heard this is all hearsay. Again, we can't go by what's valid because again,
Well, I don't work
Richard
for the
is-
city, so
yeah,
I don't know.
neither do I. So that is our disclaimer. We don't work for the city.
And
All we
getting a
can do is
meeting,
yeah,
getting a meeting with these people is
Oy, 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 oy. That's what I'm saying. And sometimes everything happens so fast. Like right now, I didn't hear about. Like you said, there is going to be a public comment.
well, I mean, it's customary.
It should be customary, right?
yeah.
A 30-day
Yeah,
period.
so there's going to be some time for people to go in, and I mean, if you think they didn't do a good enough job in area X, you can tell them, I think this is what it should be, or hey, Sacramento is a city of the same size, and they're
and they have. I mean, 30
They-
dispensaries.
They have 30 dispensaries.
That's
yeah.
that's true.
30 physical dispensaries.
For real.
I don't know how many they still.
Oh yeah,
accept
no, they have
deliveries.
30, and then
Yeah.
delivery services are off the chain. I mean, I know when I do visit up that way, I go up there quite frequently, and I'm just saying that the shops I visit, they have all, and they went through their periods where shops were shut down. They're still going through a cleansing period where they're going in, and the illegal grows and all of that are being plucked, but a lot of their ordinances, a lot of the adjacent cities
Yeah.
have laws, or I should say, ordinances in place. So
Yeah, I really think that Sacramento is kind of doing it right. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a full, free market, but it's certainly a step in the right direction.
oh yeah, so
So, I
it's-
mean, ideally, what you would have is a free market where whoever wants to apply for a license to get the business, as long as they meet the qualifications, it would be able to get it. But again, with the federal, the federal prohibition, and,
Right.
and the fear in, like I said, almost half the population, it's going to be a while, if ever, where we get a fully deregulated free market. So, I mean, if you want to, you got to pay to play. So,
Bottom line.
especially right now at this point.
Yeah, and here's what I have too, and I know that this is more along what you do. I get a lot of folks that are approaching saying, "I'm going to get into the cannabis field. I'm going to drive a truck for a year, Kev, and I'm going to open up a business." And I don't ever want to disenfranchise the situation and say, you can't make it. It's too late in the business. But I'm going to say that. At this point, that is definitely where you come into play, Richard, with helping to consult folks in the cannabis that are trying to get in the cannabis industry. How would they do so at this time?
Yeah, so, I mean, if you're interested, it depends first where you want to have your business and what type of business that you want to have. So, if it's something you're serious about, then if you go through all of the licensing requirements and you feel comfortable doing it on your own, then go ahead. Feel free to do it on your own. However, if you don't feel comfortable with legalese and
Yeah,
sometimes, frankly, unintelligible BS, then I would suggest finding a consultant or a law firm that can assist you in applying for these licenses.
correct. Because it is a process, and you don't want to double back on that process. I remember you saying that 2 weeks ago. You were like, you can do it, but if you fill it out wrong, or there's a delay, because time is money.
So a denial in the Bureau of Cannabis Control Regulations, which is at bcc.ca.gov. You can go in and read, and part of a reason for denial is that you, within the past 3 years, have had an application denied. So let's just say that you have you want to start a dispensary, right? That's I think
Oh,
the number
yeah.
one thing everybody wants a dispensary.
Everybody wants a dispensary.
So let's say you have the money to start a dispensary. You got a rich uncle, somebody loans you a bunch of money. You go out and you're like, I'm going to save money. I don't need an attorney. I don't need a consultant. I don't need anyone to assist me in filing this paperwork. So you go and then you leave something out, right? You leave out your environmental impact report. You leave out
man.
where you're getting your water source. You're leaving out, you don't have enough renewable energy, right? Because there's a renewable energy requirement. If you
What?
if you grow indoors, there's a
Really?
renewable
What
energy
was it?
requirement from the
What?
state.
I
So,
just got
but
hit on the head, folks.
So what I'm saying is, all your I's have to be dotted, all your T's have to be crossed.
Right.
If you're confident in your ability to do that on your own, then by all means, do it. But if all you want to do is grow, or all you want to do is start a distributing company, or all you want to do is make extractions, and you don't want to worry about any of the business stuff, then it would behoove you to go out and find someone that can help you get everything you need in order to ensure your best opportunity for having your license application granted. And remember also that you need a license from your local jurisdiction, and then you need the license. Then you need to apply for the state license.
So you need 2 licenses. I'm going to take a quick station ID break. You are listening to the Cannabis Radio 420 Talk right here on KOFP 103.3, The Voice. Cannabis Kev here with Richard Presido, and we are just talking cannabis to you. Richard has a lot of in-depth information, and we love it when you have, how can I say it, your thoughts. You put your thoughts and opinion. Again, we had Trey Tosh come on, and I didn't even, I know we've been doing this for a minute, and we love. In fact, we want to invite Trey down, just like we had. We have Jamal, and Jamal is very. He's
anti-legalization.
Yeah, he's anti-legalization, and he's very in depth in his pursuit for answers. And so we definitely want folks in here that challenge, all the aspects of cannabis, because again, there are some situations that are going on in the cannabis industry that causes us to need to have some type of dispensaries. Just like I explained to everybody, in Utah, they had bad pens. Again, those pens, if they come through a dispensary, oh, believe me, they're shut down. And before they even get there, again, they will rectify the problem. They will take care of, like, say, if it's a leaky pen. But most of those, I'm not going to say most of, I'm going to say when you're talking about a legalized dispensary, it's checks and balances all the way.
Well, I mean, they're scrutinized, right?
Right.
So
At
there's
the
somebody,
highest level, too.
yeah, and I mean,
It's a high level.
it's like somebody. It's kind of cliche to say somebody comes through with the white glove and checks. If there's dust, you fail and you're shut down. But I mean, that's essentially what's going on here.
Basically.
You need to follow, once you have one of these businesses, because they are so heavily regulated, you need to follow the regulations to a T. And so you need somebody on staff that's going to be your compliance manager. It's not like, you want to open up a secondhand store and you just go source a bunch of materials and find a building, or
What you mean, I can't
rent
just
a
go
spot
there?
down at the flea market.
I can't do that.
And no, I mean, it'd be great if you could, right?
Right,
But again, it goes back to the free market. No one gives two craps when someone's selling used clothes,
Right.
But because you're selling a drug, and I know a lot of people are going to say it's not a drug,
Right.
but it is. But so is alcohol, so are cigarettes, so are Tylenol. It's
Coffee.
Coffee's a drug. Love me some coffee.
Yep, me too. I can't drink it, but I love it.
So I mean, if you're selling a drug, and it's a drug that some people still view as really dangerous, even though it's not, that you're going to be under very tight scrutiny. So if you're buying from someone that doesn't have a license, they don't necessarily care what pesticides they put on their cannabis, because they're just worried about getting enough money to make the risk of illegally growing worth it. So they want to increase their volume. So they might use, a tightener or
I don't want to say a flush, but a bloom.
Yeah, it's a blooming agent where, in order to increase the amount of volume of cannabis they're getting, that is harmful to your health, because when they flush the system, if they flush it at all, it doesn't flush out, and so therefore it gets into our system when we ingest that cannabis product.
And sometimes, the way you can tell is by the burning. There's a tingle and a burn usually, and that's when you're getting product or herbs that are smooth. Pretty much that's how you can tell. You can have a cough, but if you have a little tingly burning, that's I've heard that is, again, this is all hearsay, it's speculation. I am not an expert, but that's the reason why we have cannabis tested.
Yeah, so I mean, again, it goes back, it's just, the point of regulation is one, for the government realizing they can